blue side. KT Rolster, in fact, getting side selection, choosing red.
And this is a really juicy series to research because there's a lot of what-ifs about Game 1 Champ Select that were unexplored. For example, do KT ban away the Zac? We know it is Blank's best pick if they are so proficient at Thresh. So do you wait for a Thresh ban, then ban Zac? Do you just straight up ban it? KT are just going to double ban the two champions that Blank has shown up on recently. Trundle and Zac are both gone. I thought maybe they leave open the Trundle and go to a rush favorite in a last pick Nidalee or something to attack it. But they're just going to try and take Blank off comfort as much as possible. And we already see an adjustment from SKT. Game 1 of their last series, first pick the Kai'Sa. They will ban it on blue side. They look like they're going to be trying to get for a Swain pick because Swain is available.
Yeah, Swain's up now, so Tile can pick that one up if he wants to. Of course, we know that he can play the mages on the top side. Faker can definitely flex it into mid. Makes a lot of sense as that first pick. But you can see a wry smile on Rush's face. They were definitely expecting something like this.
They definitely knew Swain would be first picked if they didn't ban it, so it is taken away. Tal has largely been playing the top lane mages in solo queue and on stage. Cassiopeia,
yeah.
He also plays the Ryze. He's been visiting the Vladimir quite often as well. But Smeb can definitely go into skill mage matchups. His most famous champion to me is the Kennen that he was able to, or such tear on at 2016 Worlds. And because Trundle is gone, now the Olaf is kind of uncontested, Atlas. Consider, the two picks you like into Olaf are Trundle and Sejuani for different reasons. Both of them are taken away, and now Blank has to show up on a different pick against the highest presence early game jungler in the Olaf.
Yeah, early game jungler suits Rush as well, as Talia is going to be locked away for Yukal. Getting him onto comfort in the first game of this series is very, very important because it's a best of 5. The first time we've seen Yukal here in the playoffs. Make sure that he's feeling as good as possible.
And let's remind the fans that it is dynamic side selection in a best of 5 in playoffs. KT Rolster is the highest seed, had choices in Game 1, Game 3, and Game 5. So they chose red side for Game 1. To me, that's largely about counterpick for Smeb. And it's the most important thing you can get to try to force Tal to blind a powerful champion and then trust in the champion Ocean that Smeb has traditionally been able to provide from the top lane. Because SKT getting lane priority for Tal has been the core strategy when he's been in the lineup. We'll see if it is going to be the Swain or if it's going to be something else, and we're getting that confirmation real early.
Wow, the Azir going to be locked away first up, so they knew exactly what the matchup was going to be. They want to be able to take the Golden Bird into it, but it means there's no ambiguity as to where that Swain is going, and Tal definitely going to be picking that one up on the top side of the map.
So do they decide to invest in their top laner now and give SKT some compositional answers? If it's going to be a top lane mage like Vlad, you can adjust your draft in the second round, or do they hold it for last pick? Because if you follow the logic, SKT is saying, all right, you got a sick flex. We're going to show the Azir now. You know it's going to be a Swain top. And you follow that logic and say, okay, if KT lock in a top laner now, then they can counterpick for support and getting a winning 2v2 as well. But they decide to hold on to that info. They will prize an 80 carry. Notice that only Kai'Sa was banned away of 80 carries. So the Xayah is taken. They can ban 280 carries. So they don't choose to really double down on the double counterpick. Looks like SKT will get access to at least one of them.
Yeah, and you can see KT still prizing the Xayah despite the fact that the nerfs to the synergy not quite there anymore. Of course, Rakan buffs felt a little bit better than sort of outside of the duo than any changes to Xayah. So see whether he's going to be able to make it work and whether it's going to be a melee support for Mata to the tune of something like an Alistar to pair with it.
You do notice the Morgana ban. Morgana is what Mata has been practicing in solo queue. A big pick in LCS regions, but hasn't been a big pick in Korea. There's a counter to the Rakan, of course, famously, but Rakan was taken in the first round. That's why the Xayah-Rakan priority was lower. SKT are a team known to just pick Xayah and take any support with that champion, but left it open. It's gone to KT. Now with the support pool starting to constrict a bit, it seems like Thresh is the big laning support that's still available. But do you counterpick for support, or do you hold on to your top lane pick? Seems like they will be going for the support pick now, and maybe just going for more engage with the Alistar.
Yeah, I was mentioning it. Sort of would love to see Mata on more of these roaming supports. We mentioned that first tower rate being so important to unlock Mata. Whether they can still get significant turret damage in the early game with a lower range AD carry is the question, but still, a lot of fighting prowess for these two. But now bottom lane,
entire
locked
lane
in for SKT, yeah.
Entire bot lane needs to be locked in. Is SKT just going to go for Caitlyn? Go for ultra safety in the lane. Caitlyn Braum is available. Haven't been impressed with SKT's Caitlyn play. You notice the Tristana hover. It'd be big if Tristana was locked in, because we've seen no Tristana since the latest Tristana nerfs. On patch 8.5, people say her laning phase is so weak that she's not able to be played in Korea. Is played around the world. We've had no Tristana play, and they're just grinning and bearing it. This is pretty big, going into Deft and Mata, a fantastic 2v2 lane, and trying to get through with the Tristana. It is a risk by SKT.
Yeah, it feels like almost an arrogance play, making sure that they can have that security in the late game, but not expecting KT to give them too much trouble. It is a dangerous prospect. Nah being considered now for Smeb on the top side and will be locked in. A fantastic Nah player, of course, but I would have personally liked something just to stomp onto Tal, but will certainly be safe against the Swain.
Is something that also can have synergy with the Weaver's Wall for those extra Gnar ultimates. The Olaf is the big story here. They have gone for Olaf, and they have two strong lanes to back him up. Let's see how Rush can do, because Rush had a good debut in his first series. Didn't really need to do much on the Sejuani. Had a great Lee Sin performance, but he wasn't ganking pre-6. It was a lot more passive play. He was measured. For KT Rolster to start him, they're looking for the aggression. They're looking for him to dominate this game. And he certainly has a draft where he can potentially take it in the palm of his hands and control the early game.
Yeah, and we have to remember the last time we saw Rush, he was against Mowgli and Spirit, too. Relatively aggressive junglers. Now he's up against Blank, who is certainly the opposite of that. Has been most successful on things like the Zac that want to play it calm in the early game and then try and carry his team with good engagements towards the late stage. That's where he has been good. So a different test now for Rush.
More lane control in the top for the Gnar early, but we know that Swain will get 5 points in his queue and be just fine. In the mid lane, Taliyah versus Azir. A very nice signature matchup for both these players. Yukal known for rising in prominence on the Taliyah. Big risk here is in the bot lane. Many regions, you think of Reckless, think of EU, they're happy to run the Tristana. It's our first Tristana in a long while, and that to me is the only big risk from SK Telecom T1.
Yeah. See whether it is going to work out, though, for SKT. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 for playoff round 1. SKT versus KT Rolster. Let's get into it. SKT fans out in force, and it's game number 1, remember, guys. We've got a lot of people still at work trying to make it out to the Seoul East Stadium, but there are so many passionate fans wanting SKT to run this gauntlet.
Absolutely, and the crowd will be just through the chains if we go to 4 or 5 games. Honestly, seems very likely, Atlas. I'd be very surprised to see a 3-0 either way. KT Rolster, the more likely to 3-0, but I'm saying maybe 10 or 20%. I think a lot of people think 4 or 5 games here. For SKT to 3-0 would be such a departure from their struggling regular season where they ended up 23 wins, 23 losses, a 0-game score. For them to 3-0 here, that'd be really when the SKT fans said, hey, maybe the title is possible. They can 3-0 KT, then they can start thinking about Busan. But for today, it's all about thinking about KT.
Yeah. KT needs to be, they have to just win whatever's in front of them, think about exactly what needs to come next. And they've already done that. I just love best of 5s like this where you feel like even in the first game, it almost doesn't matter who wins because it's all about what we can learn and what we can adjust moving into game 2.
We're getting some very interesting learnings just as we're table setting here, because notice that both bot lanes did not leash for their junglers. There's a top lane leash coming through from the Swain. Olaf has the flexible ability to start Axe and just start Raptors on the top side. One of the few ways you can get through these Tristana lanes is to play around her level 2, which with the rocket jump getting a bit of extra damage, the level 2 all-in got better from the Tristana. But the way to get the level 2 is to rush to lane first, deny a leash. KT aware of that, also rushing to lane. And notice Deft's keystone here. He's gone press the attack, not the fleet footwork. Has been very common, even after the nerf to fleet footwork. They're very much looking to punish the bot lane for going for the Tristana.
Yeah, wanting to make sure that they've got as much power early, and I like that. If you're a KT fan, you know that if KT's going to win, they're often going to come out with a lot of pressure at the start of the game. So a little bit of a poke in there from Yukal just to get the vision down. They know exactly where Blank is on his chickens, as the blue buff is still being taken by Rush.
Very late reintroduction to the Jarvan the 4th to the LCK pool. Still big in China especially, but with so many nerfs towards Blank's jungle pool, he had to go somewhere. Yukal invading anyway. but will not be able to get there in time to steal away any Raptors.
Yeah, Blank actually intelligently moving it into the brush, so UCal not going to be able to net himself anything. Not being able to take down the minion wave in time. Faker getting some decent poke. There's even the comment there that last auto attack was one that UCal really didn't want to take, going down to 300 health. This fight is going to land on the bottom side of the map. KT still just trying to shove, trying to keep this level and pressure advantage for as long as they possibly can. And Rush actually thinking about grabbing this Ocean Drake that is warded already. Blank can make his way in and try and take this one down, but he doesn't have a lot of health.
He's going to hit onto the blast plant, you'd imagine, but actually just wants to come in for the gank here.
Yep, Smite is now available for Rush as KT are moving themselves up. Still 2,000 health on the Dragon as Wolf takes a lot of damage. Not quite the coordination that SKT wanted. I thought that that was almost going to be first blood against Rush, but intelligently moves himself over to the side. No one's going to get the Dragon this time.
Yeah, they didn't go for the Scryer's vision. They just went straight up for the gank, thinking they'd be able to kill him at the Drake. It is very common for LCK junglers to try the very early Drake on Olaf, just because he can fall low and sustain up with his W and largely get through. Even an Ocean Drake, which is very punishing to take down. In the runes here, the bone plating, of course, very expected onto the Swain. They didn't go for the control play. Blank could have just hit the Scryer and backed away. Yeah. He wanted more than that. He wanted to actually go in for the kill, but no kill to be found.
Yeah, they wanted to keep themselves a little bit sneaky. They did know that Faker was moving down. UCal giving them that information as Mata actually looking for Bang.
Buffering there, actually, on the rocket jump coming through from Bang. This is the first time I'm seeing Hextech Alistair.
Yeah, I know. It's super cool.
Bot lane is really where there is to take him. Let's talk about where the game goes, because the laning phase, usually in Korea, you guys, of course, at home know, is usually pretty passive. We don't see a lot of 2v2 kills. Consider that SKT in the late game have so much zone control. The Swain pick in general brings reliable laning, but it ults in a team fight and no one can walk past him because he does reliable damage and controls a lot of space. The Cataclysm controls space. The Emperor's Divide from Azir controls space, and even the soldiers can zone. And then you have a hyper carry in Tristana, who still is online 3-4 items and very powerful. So late game team fights, SKT have so much space to allow Bang to be the hard carry that he has been as recently as the series earlier in the week. On the side of KT, they have a lot of early presence, they have a lot of early roams. While KT does have some late-game team fighting, advantage SKT in that realm.
Well, UCal actually going very aggressive. Good seismic shove, but there's the flag and drag buffered by Blank. Rush still looking for it, though, as the Sand Soldier's doing a lot of damage, and the heal is going to be invested into this fight. Deft roaming up, but SKT's bottom lane are here as well. KT not going to find any joy as UCal goes down to about half health once again here in this laning phase.
Heals used on both sides, and then whenever you trade a summoner as SKT, you're worried about the return from Rush and the earlier power spike for these skirmishing. I think KT wins skirmishes very hard with this Olaf, as once again Bang has definitely got his eye in on the rocket jump. So both heals used from the mid laners, they back away. That was all about Blank buffering the EQ at the right time and overriding the seismic shove. If he was shoved there, he was probably dead, but able to get away.
Yeah, flag and drag, pretty damn good. As you mentioned the buffering on the bottom side of the map with Bang. Both him and Blank have pretty good ability to get out of the way of CC.
So in the early game, there's less wave clear than you remember on the Swain, because you remember level 9 Swain, where he just Qs every time off cooldown and you get frustrated, but this early into the game, just being a better ranged auto attacker in the Gnar is able to get the lane control. So lane control top. The early presence jungler, it's still a game where the Predator jungler is unlocked to make the aggressive plays, but so far, nothing doing for Rush as bot lane.
Yeah, heal's actually going to be invested into this one by Bang as well, so SKT having to invest a summon as well is going to feel great for KT.
It was double
flash as well coming out.
Having to flash away from the headbutt pulverize, so that time the aggression works on the Aftershock Alistair. All about attacking this lane, they keep it up. That's another summoner down, but how much can KT claim on the map to justify the amount of investment? And as you mentioned already, the relative lack of respect the hyper carry focus draft on SKT is taking.
Yeah. I do like what KT have put together. You mentioned the zone control that SKT is going to have in a team fight. You mentioned KT wanting to get these skirmishes happening. I feel like it really does help them out as the face check does come in from Wolf. Unbreakable's going to help him out, but Headbutt is going to move him well out of position. Blade Caller not going to be able to get the stunners. There's the Ignite going down. Remember, 8.6 does a little bit more damage, and Deft has to invest the heal to try and get out of the way. No fleet footwork is going to be available from this Zyra's teleport. Invested into the fight, and SKT going to feel great about getting a cancel from Smeb.
That was actually a really confident play from Bang. Really well calculated from him. Understood he was about to hit level 6 and would have the all-in potential with the ultimate. They draw out the teleport. Smeb will lose a minion wave for it. So even though KT with the press the attack seemed like they were set up to win, they had a summoner advantage from the start of it, because they were refusing to use any flashes, they end up trading down overall.
Yeah, thankfully they didn't have to use those flashes. Featherstorm and Flash available for def. Now, UCal going to be able to pick up his blue buff, and I feel like this is the time where KT want to be setting themselves up for fights, and having those flashes off cooldown feels really, really good. You are KT, which is why they invested the teleport instead of either of the bottom lane's flashes.
Speaking of flashes, Marta, on a roam to the mid lane, but will be spotted on a control ward. In that control vision bot size, what we always say is the gold standard with a global mid lane champion. Think of Talia or Galio.
Yeah.
So you can go for those roams uncontested as Tal finally starts weaving in the spells, and we see that very annoying Swain passive that is always the most central thing about his kit.
Yep. Throwing that Sith Lightning across the minion wave as well, like you were mentioning before, is able to start getting the shove towards this top side. Smeb is going to be able to grab that Mega Gnar, clear things out. Still has about a wave ahead of Tal, especially after he picks up these next few minions that are left over. Rush going for a lane gank. You can see some honey fruit is being chowed down on by Tal as he moves up the river.
Big problem I see here for KT Rolster compared to where SKT is that the vision control for SKT is a level above. Control ward on the red buff only now going to be spotted. They have more control wards on the map in general, whereas KT Rolster are relatively blind. They don't have the aggressive vision that Score is known for. Marta hasn't been able to go on the same vision wars because, of course, only has the few wards from his trinket rather than early Sightstone that he was known for. So for now, it feels like SKT have been able to find safety through warding and also taking pretty smart trades in laning phase. So the Tristana that we mentioned could and should be punished with a draft like this from KT, for now is getting through pretty unscathed.
Well, Faker's going to invest the E in order to get himself out of there, shift some sands to get towards his Raptor camp, and UCal's going to be able to take down this control ward. Now that vision that you were talking about earlier is certainly there as Deft. He's going to get closed on. Bang, not going to take any damage from that root caller there at all. Headbutt Pulve comes in, but Bang's going to be able to get himself out, and there is a blank waiting in the wings.
It's so awesome watching the 2v2 trades, knowing that both teams have people ready to react. We can see the Talia in position for the Weaver's Wall. We see Blank, they're closer for the gank, but both of them know that there's incomplete information. And that's why, for now, things are pretty quiet as KT on the roam again.
Yeah, once again, the Flag and Drag's going to be invested. Blank gets himself
They're
into a different position as Wolf gets himself out. Has to use the flash, though, as now Rush can't stay in here. UCal immediately takes down the wall, and they want to find Bang. Rocket Jump going to be used. We knew that he could get out if he wanted to, despite not having the flash.
It's all about losing the minimum for SKT. We talk about this very often in Korean games where the enemy team knows they've picked the scaling comp, knows they have the late game going. So how much is the minimum? How much can you sacrifice mid lane?
Oh, good flash gets UCal out of the way, and Seismic Shove moves Faker back in. Rush is going to get down here as Wolf has to teleport in the flash in, but it's not enough from Rush. Does get the flash out of Faker, though.
Damage calculation a little bit off there. Aren't able to pick up the first blood. Blank still in the bot lane. KT, no. This is their time to turn on. But if SKT keep answering them and getting global gold into the game, if it reads 45,000, 45,000, 50,000, 50,000, there's 100,000 gold in the game, then SKT's comp is going to be ready to roll.
Yeah, feels absolutely fantastic, but getting the flash trade onto Faker, you have to think that Rush is going to be okay with it, because then gets himself an undertow and he's going to be feeling great. There's the Gnar into the wall. Dahl has to actually use the flash to get out of the way very early as Demonic Ascension also invested into this fight. Now Smeb feeling much better in this matchup.
Rush hits 2 lanes within 30 seconds. The flashes are down. Again, KT Rolster will have control in those lanes, but what it means is always undefined. Can KT actually find an objective? They would love to crash the bot lane tower and start roaming with the Alistair. May not be Thresh, but it has the same impact when it can hit the map. But for now, turret HP hasn't been able to fall low enough. They haven't been denying CS. Tristana's actually up in CS because they've been pushing. But from the pushing, they haven't stolen away buffs. They haven't killed turrets. And those turrets start to roll down. That's when KT really reached the ascendancy. But for now, it's about what's there for KT, but not what's being claimed by KT.
Well, now Faker is actually pushing in the mid lane. Rush will be able to grab this red buff and potentially move over there if he wants to, unless these camps need to be cleared out. Completely even, though, is the jungle camp numbers. Blank also on the prowl around that mid lane, mirroring each other on either side of the map. As Rush gets himself over there, it might be the Dragon that both of these teams are looking for, as Rush is going to be harassed out with some Sand Soldiers.
Disregard it as Yukal pushes in the wave and stops Faker from just free autoing his jungler.
Another headbutt pole comes in from Mata, looking for some stuns now. There is the rocket jump, gets Bang out of the way, actually nullifies the stun from Mata towards the end as Blank. Just going to cop one auto attack.
Yeah, it was a Predator auto.
Boosting in there, yeah.
Predator was popped, so that's a cooldown that's now down. KT trying to get control. They have a lot of control in the mid lane, walking up to Faker.
Yeah, remember, no flashes. Yukal does take a turret shot, but very even on the health bars, and Faker didn't want to do it. Oh, Ragnarok was invested as well, but Rush couldn't find the undertow. Oh, Faker just limping away multiple times now this series.
Try to use it like a Righteous Glory to get that extra movement speed, but not enough, not close enough to get the value there. Unable to pick up the kill, and now the Drake would be a bit more of a risk if it was started, because Olaf still has his ult and his flash on cooldown. KT Rolster, all they have for their relative strength in the draft in the early to mid game is a 500 gold lead. Won't be good enough for their calculations as ult is available for Swain, probably gonna have to pop it.
Another Nara into the wall as the Demonic Ascension, like you say, comes out once again. Smev just trying to make sure the pressure is on to Tal, meaning that if Rush is actually in the area, if a dive is possible, they'll go for it. Remember, half the cooldown on that flash still there. A lot of respect now going to have to come out from the new top laner for SKT.
In the early game, such a long cooldown on that Demonic Ascension at level 1 that if you can force it out as Smap, you feel so happy because you win the trades pretty hard in mini Nara form. Just continues to push, continues to get pressure. A lot of standing gold on this map for KT to pick up. That's not going to really be felt in the 80 carry items. Bang keeps up his good form. He's up 10 CS in the lane. Working on his first item here is SKT against the run of play, looking to sneak a Drake.
Yeah, Mata actually pokes his head in. Blank's going to have to flag and drag his way out. Doesn't want to take too much damage from that one. With only a Cinderhulk, can't really sit there and take the abuse that the Ocean Drake can bring out. Smeb continues to hard shove this way. We'll see whether Tyler's going to use the teleport, and he does. So not going to be able to get himself around, and KT with teleport advantage feels like a scary thing to deal with here in this game, as Vision of Empire not going to find the target at all. Not even going to be able to get the force pull.
This game 1 is such a big test for Tal in particular. He didn't get the counter pick. He didn't get a blind pick that basically cannot be answered by a conventional top laner in the Cassio, where, well, you can take a less bad matchup, but it's still Cassio top. You're going to lose the 1v1s. Nar is a very comfortable pick. Smeb is a much more experienced top laner. If Tal can get through this game unscathed, that is a really big vote of confidence, because he's definitely going to be tested again and again in this best of 5.
Yeah. Smith actually losing out on that trade quite heavily. He doesn't quite have the items that Tyler's picked up. Goes back, gets a book and a stick, and he's going to be feeling pretty good. See whether that's going to be Void Staff item number 2. Can't help but expect something like that, but I don't know whether it's necessarily what Tyler's going to be building.
Almost certainly going to be Leandri's, I would imagine.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
As here's the Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, the Flash Nar actually into the wall as well, as there's so much CC. The Pebbles come out, and Yukal is going to help grab first blood for Smeb.
Awkwardly, Rush was there with a front row seat, but couldn't get over because there was a Weaver's Wall in the way. That because he was topside, SKT will find an objective on the bottom side, or will they? We're seeing the recall from the Nar. He's not actually sticking. He wants to get a shop in. Going for the teleport early. They want to fight this KT.
Yeah, KT going to get in there. The Smite does come out from Blank, but is he going to fall down here? The hop gets Smeb over, and now he's going to have the Hyper Prox, picks it up. Cataclysm just going to keep the Nar in a cage, but he doesn't mind. He kills the Jarvan, and that's the second kill for KT, right on time for when their composition's going to go off.
And they're not trying to prefer the top lane turret that seemed free. They really want this bot lane turret to try to snowball the game. That's why Smeb teleported in after the Drake would already be dead. KT Rolster unlocking the Alistar to roam is so important for their mid game, and it should happen here.
Yep, 4 members on the bottom side. Yukal is going to head back home, doesn't have the Weaver's Wall to close distance. He's actually going to hop over. There are a lot of pings onto Yukal. Got wards surrounding him as well. But there is the first turret going down, like you say, on the bottom side of the map, and we're close to a 3,000 gold lead for KT Rolster in the early game.
We already mentioned that first turret win rate is going to be right up there for the best teams, and KT and Kingzone, of course, are 1 and 2. It's all about bot lane turret when you have a Thresh or an Alistar who can hit the map, and also will get them the deep vision that they weren't able to get Atlas, because they were able to have very shallow vision with all the turrets being up for the first 17 minutes. Not many teams in the LCK would sack the top lane turret that seemed free to push down and risk a teleport behind the Drake. But with teleport advantage, that's the choice KT made, and it gets them the bot lane turret and the potential to roam around and speed up this game before the Tristana is truly online.
Yeah, it just shows that Smeb pretty happy to be in the laning phase against Tal here as well. Not really feeling too much pressure as Mata going to move the minion wave away so that Def can pick up as many of these as possible. Has himself the Zeal and the Essence Reaver, so feeling like he's in a good spot here in the early game, but Bang as well. BF Sword close to the Static Shiv or the Rapid Fire Cannon, depending on what he wants to pick up first. Based on the changes to both of those items, I have a feeling the Shiv is still going to be coming in though.
And now it's largely about, we have Predator Jungler, we have the Weaver's Wall, and Moby Boots Alistair's hitting the Rift, no longer stuck in a 2v2. How can KT keep the pace of the game higher? Because while Tristana's got good items, she really now needs 3.5 items. 3 items minimum to be even in any way relevant. Before, at 3 items, she was basically a god. Now, before 3 items, she's super weak with the lower range as well to cascade everything. So there's the Weaver's Wall we mentioned. It's going to be shorted.
Yep. Unbreakable's going to be there from Wolf as KT actually setting themselves up, but going to be spotted.
All they care about is the turret, so the fact they can't get a turret dive is just fine.
Yep. You can see Vision of Empire not exactly great for clearing out the waves, even though Tal can do it from a very long way away. And that's going to be the second outer turret taken for KT. The money snowball is still there. 3.5 thousand gold. We have to remember to caveat it though. We've spoken about KT's prowess in the late game. 3,500 gold doesn't mean the job is done for KT. They need to keep this pressure rolling.
It's definitely not. It's not a mid lane karma draft like KSV, but it's just outclassed by what SKT have in the late game. And KT got the invade. The moment they saw Tristana, they understood that this was a game where you doubled down around the mid game. If you get the first Baron, it may not be the full power Barons, but there still is a lot of ability to close with early Baron buffs. Baron hits the Rift in 5 seconds. SKT are still waiting for items. They want a second item onto Tal. They want a Zonia's onto Tal as well to be able to control space. So for now, KT trade up. Like how they're playing, but every time they're halted, every time the game stays at this pace, it's good stuff for SKT.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Baron here as well, because I feel like with all Xayah comps, you have to talk about sieging and possibilities there, because she doesn't have the highest range. So getting in those siege scenarios really does require you to have these powered up siege minions to try and get down these turrets.
And remember, double AP on the side of SKT, as the Swain is an AP champion, even if he's an off tank. He's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with the Baroned up minions. The Bannon minion, if that does come in, I imagine that will be the finish here for Mata quite early, is another thing that SKT don't answer very well. You could tell from his recent champion pool and in solo queue, Tal has almost exclusively been playing mages, apart from the Gangplank that he also does visit situationally. So Banner of Command value was always likely to be high against SKT.
Yeah. Well, Def goes back, does have himself his Ninja Tabi, is KT feeling okay about clearing out some vision pretty deep. And they need to keep this up, try and suffocate SKT. Faker grabs himself a blue buff. Now, a bit of damage actually is Def possibly caught out of position. Featherstorm is going to be invested, but huge Pulverize comes in from Mata. Going to be answered here by Wolf, but Mata should be outside of positioning, not going to be able to get out of this one as Tal. The Demonic Ascension's going to be available. So much damage from the Swain, and he picks up the kill onto Rush. The kills are now equalized, and SKT just move up the mid lane. Yukao may actually fall down as Blank so aggressive with the rocket jump. Deft still getting some damage in there. Double heals come out from KT, and that's going to be a dead Yukao. SKT turning it on post 21 minutes.
KT thought it was 2 skirmishes, but it ended up just being a failed attempt at a team fight. SKT didn't have to use much, and Faker keeps up everything, including the Emperor's Divide, and they should get a free Baron.
Yeah, Faker at full health means that he can try and stave off KT over here. Just not a chance for them to get in. It's going to be smoked by Blank. And the first Baron, we were talking about it being important for KT, it now just gets gifted to SKT as Faker. So much damage. Smeb has to hop away. Deft has to limp away from this fight, and it might be the delayed ace to come in from SKT. There it is! The Birdman himself picks up the kill onto the Xayah. Smeb, one auto attack away from dead as he gets the Mega Gnar, gnars them all away, and he's buying some time. Has a blast cone to get himself over, and now the teleport to come in. Is he going to get out? Oh, he does!
He does it!
Oh, Smeb. Oh, there it is. Oh, what?
The auto attack followed him the whole way.
That
Ends up
is
being
a-
comical stuff,
Yeah,
but it ends up
super
being
long auto.
5 kills eventually. Atlas and the Baron to the side of SKT. KT Rolster, the setup on that pinch was not good enough. First 5 kills, first Baron, and now first gold lead for SKT.
Yeah, the headbutt pole felt good from Martin. We are going to see it again. KT just over-indexing and deft. Out of position in this fight to start it off.
So consider, Smeb is not in Meganar, the teleport is behind, and Talia gets there too late, isn't able to hit the fight, neither is Azir, but Tal's in the backline, he gets a free invitation as the Swain to get value. Rush dies to the first the Demon Flare, they get the Baron, turn on the Baron buff, and suddenly the structures start to roll down, but this time it's for SKT.
Yeah, now 1,000 gold in the lead against the run of play here for SKT, and it's only going to get bigger as this power play moves on forward. Want to try and grab this outer turret, and they will be able to do so very, very easily. In fact, KT not wanting to try and go for anything. The side lane now actually being occupied by Yukao on the top side, trying to push Tal in, not wanting to give them too much, but already grabbing 2 outer turrets in very quick succession. And close to 2 minutes of Baron still remains for SKT.
Vision control from SKT has been better than KT's in this game. We talked about how they had great offensive and defensive vision in the first 20 minutes. That lane ward to facilitate the teleport for Tal was the true MVP. Tal had been slowly being chipped away by Smeb in the laning phase the entire time, went down for an early kill, but getting access to the back line was something that KT hadn't factored in, meant that they were exposed. And now SKT are up in turrets against a team that drafted for the early lead.
Well, Weave as well comes in from Yukao. He's just going to try and lock Tal in here. He doesn't have flash, remember. As Rush is just going to run on over, and they're going to be able to pick up that kill relatively easily. SKT were trying to rotate over, but the fact that they have done that means they weren't in position to capitalize from 2 members being top.
Morellonomicon being complete means there is kill pressure onto the Swain, but SKT, they've got their power in the mid game, and now they're trying to find Smeb as well.
Yep, Faker is actually going to be able to find the blue buff as Smeb just takes way too much damage. Bang's going to pick up the kill, and SKT, they're just rolling forward now.
SKT are just taking the script and ripping it up into little pieces. Say, Zeke's Convergence Braum in this game, so the first Zeke's Convergence isn't for the Xayah, it's for the Tristana to cheat the damage curve a little bit. Turned on in that particular engage. Didn't even need it there. One able to proc, didn't even need the Braum ultimate, but Bang does more damage earlier than you would have expected. This Tristana is warping the draft priority from KT in a couple of different ways. 4 turrets taken down in 1 Baron buff power play.
Yeah, and Faker is just a man possessed this game as well. He's been absorbing pressure across the map, and then in the last fight looked brilliant. Then chases down 2 kills. There does most of the damage to lock down the kill onto Smeb and also steals away the blue buff. Everything seems to be going that man's way, as we are going to have a look at this one again as the rocket jump comes through.
Watch the auto. This is the auto that follows him, so it looks like he's going to survive. Doesn't actually interact with the charge that was on him, so the satchel charge that was on him, the explosive charge didn't get buffed by that auto, but the auto following killed him. So the longest range Tristana auto, they say that the Tristana nerf was ranged. I have a counterpoint.
Yeah, I certainly do. I didn't know that it was sort of like it had a dead range, you know? It can either shoot relatively close to you or the other side of the map. I believe that was the unwritten adaptation. This rapid fire cannon has been completed, speaking of Tristana, and the Vampiric Scepter, so not opting in for any sort of armor penetration here against the draft of KT. It is going to be Bloodthirster potentially for item number 4 for Bang.
And now it's everything we evaluated about the game where KT needed to play is out of the window. Because SKT have a gold lead, they also have a front line, they have a vision lead, so they can actually reliably get Swain into the back line. And a couple of minutes ago, he was so far away from his second item, the Leandris, let alone the zone, is now he has both. And the amount of space this affords Bang to just free auto is something that KT just haven't got a comp that can answer.
Yeah, and they're actually just trying to set themselves up to get picks onto single members. And I think it's intelligent from KT, but they just don't have very many other options apart from that. And SKT, reading them like a book, are always ready to collapse. Even Tal on the bottom side has that teleport. He can get in towards the back line. Try and use that Demonic Ascension to get everyone out of the way. We saw how effective it was in that first team fight win for SKT. They're holding all of the cards. Now it's working out which order to play them. Close out this game for SKT. Oh, Def taking so much damage from Bang, who's just standing outside of turret range.
Kind of by accident, because Bang is much more about the siege than he is about the poke, but he'll take both if he can get it. Waits for the next auto. He's just basically backing off and walking up every time he gets access to his rapid-fire cannon.
Yep.
He's just chilling.
Not scared at all. As the rest of his team hanging around, was just trying to be juicy bait, but he'll take the turret if it's there in front of him, and now 6,000 gold is going to be the approximate lead for SKT. Turned this game on a dime. 15 minutes in, it was KT looking like they were ready to start rolling over, and then SKT turn it on, find the team fight they're looking for, get the Baron, and they're not letting up.
Such a pleasure to see Bang's return to form this year. So many people were there saying his time is up after the famous loss.
Yeah.
And in general, his struggles at the 2017 World Championships. Now, if you told me in 2018, what about a meta where it's all about the AD carry only, like the meta at Worlds 2017 turned out to be, this Bang is the one that's ready to go in that scenario. It's a little bit later, but if it's enough to take SKT over KT and continue their gauntlet run, SKT fans are ready to forgive and forget because Bang is in tip-top form.
And he's on the Tristana pick here as well as Smeb. He's waiting. Okay. Secret Agent Nah hanging out in this brush. I wonder whether he's still there. He's going to get face-checked his Bang. There's a lot of damage is actually going to be offered back, and Smeb actually regrets this decision. Close to the Nah bar. So the Boomerang's going to slow Bang down. 4
control wards on the top side. One of them actually spotted out Yukal. So while he was, of course, jump scared by there being a Gnar there, he was happy to turn on because there was no way for Yukal to get involved. He knew it was going to be outnumbered. SKT, they just shrugged that one off and just add a Cloud Drake to their bounty of neutrals this game.
Yeah, they're going to be able to grab all of the dragons this game. It's only 3 because our first Drake was a little bit late. Remember Bang picking that one up with the Smite fight, and then the Infernal was free. So all too easy for SKT, who have eliminated the outer ring of turrets as well. KT, they just don't have a lot of map that belongs to them, and this Baron a long way away from control. It's just going to go down so incredibly fast. Tristana and Azir that are this fed at this stage of the game just destroy it, and that calculation on the timing was way too late for Yukal.
I mean, the fact that the Weaver's Wall was there 2 seconds after the Baron died let you know that KT had no idea exactly how much power the Azir and Tristana were packing. Able to walk up and basically delete it. Looked in this general direction, it wilted. Baron just waved the white flag, and
yeah.
I think it's not long till KT Rolster will have to wave the white flag for game number 1. They had this tempo draft about always staying in front of the scaling draft from SKT. Scaling draft came online early. Never able to get going, and now they interrupt the back from Deft, who's backing on a ward, and that means that Bang's going to kill this turret instantly.
Yeah, it is so dead. That turret goes down in a blink of an eye. The inhibitor should follow as well as Yukal, trying to deter them, and actually does so, but Bang decides he's going to turn around and crit Yukal's face off. That means
third auto, he would have died.
Yeah, just ludicrous. Bang now moving himself over. 5 members collapse onto the mid lane with this Baron buff, with the Siege minion, with the minion wave just withering at the sight of SKT. There's the pullback, actually gets the Featherstorm out of Deft, and he's down to half health. Feels like 1.5 auto attacks there from Bang will take him down, and that means also the inhibitor turret falls. A lot of damage onto Smeb, who has to get the crush to get his way out.
No frontliners here, and Alistair, Anar, and Olaf, none of them can go anywhere near auto attack range for Tristana, and she's at level 17, so we know that's pretty damn far. They walk up, game should end here. I don't think KT have any Hail Marys left, and SKT, maybe they'll just play with their food a little bit more and buy some sweet items.
Yeah, Bang had about 1 billion gold, I think, sitting in his back pocket, so he's going to go back, finish off his Bloodthirster, and we'll see what else he can actually pick up there as well. The Executioner's Calling going to come in to build towards that Mortal Reminder, so yeah, that's it's a lot more damage now available for Bang, and not a lot of healing available for KT as well.
Scary thing about this game is, if I think about it, based on expectation, based on the prep I had going into this series, KT kind of got what they wanted. They had the better 2v2.
Yeah.
When you're able to field Xayah and Alistair, we see our first Tristana post-nerf in the LCK. It was all centered around making a laning phase weaker. They also had a preferential top lane matchup. They picked the Gnar into the Swain. Those were the sort of things that KT needed to beat SKT in my estimation, but none of them have been able to be fielded. One mistake around a skirmish, and everything has been rewritten for SKT, and All the early game for KT meant nothing.
Yeah, well, Vision of Empire is going to come down, spots out KT, who just all get trapped in the Cataclysm. That is massive as Tull gets the flash in over the top. Bang! Just solos out depth off to the side as the Empress Divide doesn't do that much, but does get the picks, and bang, he just wants more kills. Doesn't have the flash available, otherwise you know that he'd be jumping on top of KT, and now game one should be in the hands of SKT. Against what felt like the run of play, they're going to continue their gauntlet run in style in game one.
SKT looking like the sleeping giants they will always be as an organization. They finally settled on a lineup, and in this game they were able to answer a lot of the preparation that teams would have flagged when it came to SKT's weak